Hey, speaking of bets, Seneca East plays Knox East. So I've issued a challenge to the Knox County Commissioners. Ooh. A little grudge
That'd be a
match.
cool story.
Yeah, I know. So I'm waiting for them to respond.
Seriously? That's
Yeah,
cool.
I said if Seneca East loses, you'll shave your head.
Oh.
I knew that was coming. I was looking at Tyler.
I'm sure Steve Upper would do it.
Yeah.
Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, as we gather today, please help us guide us in the county's business. Please protect those who keep the roads clear. We appreciate their efforts, and we pray for their safety as they protect those who travel the roads. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner? Commissioner Perduso?
Here.
I'll accept a motion to approve the digital audio video recording from the previous board session.
So move.
Second. Roll call.
Commissioner Perduso?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner? Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. Okay, we have a guest, so I think I'll put you on first. and
Awesome.
you
Let me hand these out. I'll leave one for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm Amy Hoffman from Palmer Energy, representing the County Commissioners Association of Ohio's Energy Program, which you participate in. And I'm here specifically for two reasons. To talk about the current contract for the facilities on the electric. The contract ends in May of 2020. So we have been busy doing the RFP process. And this is all new to you, Commissioner, but we've been working with the county commissioners, a little background, since for probably 11 or 12 years as their consultant. We work in 66 of the 88 counties, either doing both their gas and electric for facilities, one or the other, because sometimes we can't do both. There's some areas that we cannot, if they're a municipality and REA where they can't shop for their electricity or their gas. And then we do electric and gas aggregation for communities, for residential and small business. So your current 3-year contract is ending in May, so we sent out an RFP that had 10 counties on it. And this is the results and the recommendation. You have approximately 3.9 gigawatts you use annually, which is 3.9 million kilowatt hours. And we sent the RFP to 13 suppliers, 9 responded. When we send out the RFP to the 10 counties, it comes back, but one supplier doesn't win all 10 counties. So Melissa Webney, our analyst, brings it back, separates it out, does the calculations. When we sent out the RFP, we asked for 12, 24, and 36 months terms back. And our fee of 1 mil is put in, and that's the results when you see pricing that came back on October 25th. That has our fee in it. So, and when we asked for all the pricing back on October 25th, those rates were just for that day, because energy market changes daily. No supplier holds pricing, and if they did hold pricing, then they're going to put a premium on it to protect themselves. So I'll go through the whole process, especially for you, Commissioner, but here are the results. So the 3 tables have the 12, 24, and 36 months. It has all the suppliers listed. It has the rate that came back for the term. And then and then we did a savings comparison, which is nice for me to say savings, and it's not a loss or a higher amount. As we all know, electric rates are extremely low, gas rates are extremely low. Gas is being used more and more for electricity, so it's pretty much walking hand in hand these days. And so your current contract is a 0.051 rate. So we took that, compared it to what is being proposed by these different suppliers, and that's the estimated annual savings against the current rate, and then the estimated annual savings against the utilities price to compare. So if you were directly with the utility, not shopping with anyone, that's an average of what you would be saving. So the next thing we look at with why we recommend 36 months is we take the numbers and the length of the term, and this is all on page 2, what I'm going to go through now. Capacity, the portion on your bill, the generation, much of it is market driven, but there's the capacity, and capacity is the portion of what capacity is on the line. And you have your own auctions for them. The auctions occur and they go out 3 years. So that's what we know you have to pay. There's no way around it. So when Melissa gets all the pricing and she pulls out capacity, then that's where we are determining what you should do, a 12, 24, or 36 months. And we know, it's kind of in the middle of the page, we know that 20 to 21, the megawatt day is $77. That's the capacity. And then it goes up significantly in the second year. Third year, we still don't know yet because it happens every May, and we'll know in May. But what the suppliers do is estimate what they believe it is. I mean, they use their sense of the market, and this is what they do, and they put in their numbers. So when you pull that out, we're looking at what is the energy, the part we can't control, what is that rate? And it's actually, because the market's low right now, it actually drops a little bit each year. So I say all this because we did not recommend a 12-month, even though that's a rate of 417 by the best one. We're recommending a 3-year because it's a 435, so slightly higher. But our recommendation is because it's all capacity driven and the market is low. We don't know where the market's going to be in 1 or 2 years, but our recommendation is while the market's low, it's a lower rate than you currently have. Grab the low rate of the market now. Could it go back? Could it go even lower in 24 months? It could. There's definitely more of a potential for it to go up because we're also seeing record numbers where we're at. Gas has never been this low. Electric has never been this low. These are lower numbers than anyone's received since we started the program back in 2007. So our recommendation is to go for a 3-year contract. The next step would be that, and we to do a refresh because again, that was the price on that day. So the process is we would recommend doing a refresh with First Energy Solutions and FreePoint Energy. Those are the top 2 suppliers at 36 months. I send over to Stacy redline documents of those 2 contracts for the prosecutor to review, make changes if needed. If any changes are needed, we forward it on to that supplier to A-OK or say, well, no, but we'll accept this. And then once that's approved, then we set up a date for I to come back and have a refreshed price, the contract of the winning supplier for signature that day. Any questions?
Yeah, so what is the timeline on that we have to react to on the refresh price?
Well, it's a May renewal, so we really truly have till February or March. However, the sooner the better because if we have an extremely cold winter, and it's cold on the East Coast, it's cold, the market will move up because gas is gonna be used. It's not gonna get away from us, but, the closer to the rate of that 4.34, 4.36 we can get, the better.
What,
So-
why wouldn't we refresh all?
Because it's not gonna change. I mean, and this is what we've been doing for 10 years. These suppliers work with us, they've been working with us, they know our process. So they're gonna give their best number when they have 10 counties in front of them. So when we do the refresh, they know they're in 1, 2, or 3, the top. And so they're going to do, they know they're in the loop. But if Constellation, no, I can't, that's not a good idea. Mid-Am is at 4.6, they're not gonna move 3 mills, because they're just not. They should have given us their best price, and they would have at that time. So we always go with the top few. They don't know if they're 1 or 2, but they know they're in the running. That's why we always do 1 or 2, well, 2 or 3. We just don't tell First Energy Solutions, hey, you've got it, so give us a new rate that day. So,
Yeah. They know now it's a public meeting.
yes, that is true, but
Yeah,
again,
what was the date of this pricing?
October 25th.
Okay. So would you, if we agree to 36 months?
Yes.
Then you'll refresh that pricing this week?
No. So what I'll do is, when I get back to the office today, I'll send the contracts over for the prosecutor to review. They have to
Okay.
be approved contracts before we're gonna do a refresh,
Okay, I
because
thought
on
you
that
said you
refresh
sent them
day.
already. Okay.
No. But I'll send them today. And the refresh, once they're approved, then the refresh date will be set. I will have to come and be in front of you at like 1 o'clock, because it takes time for they'll show up at my office, the pricing that morning. And then
Good for that.
we have to order up a contract, which sometimes takes 30 minutes and sometimes it takes 2 hours. So we're safe if I come back about a 1 o'clock, 1:30 meeting for the signing of the contract, which doesn't take long, and then I can get back to the office and get it submitted by end of day.
We need a formal meeting to sign the contract.
Can
You
we
can,
authorize
or you
me-
can do it whatever way you want. You can give,
Can we do that?
We
so
do
if
it
have
both
to
ways.
Pop in and out, or?
Yeah,
We
You
can
can sign.
authorize you to sign,
yeah.
yes.
and then, do you
I'd
have
say
any
we do
thoughts
that.
about, try and
I
go for
like
36?
I like a 3-year.
Stacy,
This
you
is,
all right with
is
that?
this,
Yeah.
this is where John went a few weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah, John
Yeah, he was at
Kylie.
our,
Yeah. I
So,
talked to him after.
yeah,
Okay.
and Kylie was there as well.
Yeah, okay.
And then the CCAO annual meeting in December will be at that as well.
I do like the 3-year myself.
Okay.
So we'll proceed with that, and you'll reprice, and we'll give a
Yep.
formal
I'll
resolution
work
to
with
Stacy
Stacy.
that she can execute the contracts. And
Yes.
Thank you.
And then I have one quick, this is the PUCO's, you're an aggregator because we have 2 government aggregations in the community. And the commissioners, the county is the aggregator, they ceded authority to you, so you have 1 in the community. Every 2 years, we have to file a renewal application. It's nothing that Palmer has created or the CCAO, this is strictly the PUCO. We do the filing, we pay the $100 or whatever it is to, as the fee for it. But every 2 years it needs to be done, and so I need a signature and notary. And I have to take the original and we have to mail it to the PUCO at a certain time. It has to arrive a certain date, and then it's all done. So, I need a signature.
I'm the only notary, so you guys have to sign.
I just need one
All right,
signature.
circulate it. We'll do that right now.
Here,
That's
just
done.
you've done this one. So they sign this, and then you get this
Yeah,
card.
you have her sign.
All your names on there as well, and then the title.
Okay.
both need or just Shane? Shane can sign, right?
Just Shane is fine.
Yep.
Oh, good job.
I think it was 6 years ago. The numbers all went up, so it was where it was in the market, and every county I spoke to and every one of our commercial members, clients had to pay more for that contract, but this is a nice change.
Good. All right, just to skip around a little bit and keep people moving. We have one of our employees here today, and I'd like to talk to her a little bit. So if you'll come up, Tanya. Tanya Hoffer, our director of the museum. So we just have, we'd like to thank you for your years of service to not only the county itself, but to the history of the county, and for all the great programs that you've done and giving of your own time and treasure. It really means a lot to us, it really does, and the preservation of Seneca County history is something, you know, certainly Tony and I and Mike agree on is an important component. So thank you for what you do. 20 years.
Doesn't seem possible.
That's a lot of dusty stacks. So come back here and we can get a picture with Tony and...
Wow, nice. Art, you want to come up?
No, that's just her dad.
Got a letter for you.
Congratulations. Break the camera.
Can you take the chair out?
I know.
I asked for so much.
Good idea.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. How'd I get the job?
Which time?
First time.
First
You
time.
were
Too
kind of
soon?
No, I get all that. She said I talked 20 years ago.
It was in November of '99,
Yeah.
and I seen it posted and everything, and I thought, well, I'd been in management for 12 years at Joanne Fabrics.
Oh.
And I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. Never expected it. I come in, was interviewed, got home, half hour later I was called and offered the job. So, yeah. Doesn't seem possible, it's been 20 years, but it's a passion of mine, and I live and breathe the museum and everything and stuff, and the passing of my husband and everything, the last few years he was alive, it was nice because he could be there with me. And so thank you all for all you help do at the museum too, and make sure you come to our open houses and everything. Right now we have 20 trees set up. They're not all decorated, but we're working at it. But the whole museum will be decorated, and we have open houses all through December, so
Nice. Thank you.
thank you.
Great. And we have a four-legged duck with a name.
Yeah.
Quacky McQuacker, or what is it?
McQuacken.
Ducky McQuacken?
Ducky McQuack.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you.
Okay, administrators report.
A couple things. I'm gonna go back to the schedule just because we had some odd things thrown in last week. So it looks like for next week, got confirmation that the sheriff and the judges would be available to come in at 8:30 on Wednesday. And then we have our regular board session on Thursday. The following week, because of Thanksgiving, we have moved our board meeting from Thursday to Tuesday, the 26th at 9. And then the following week would be the first week of December because of our winter conference. We have moved our board meeting to Tuesday at 10 o'clock. So
OSS at 1 o'clock that day.
Yeah. Got it. I do have it. Yeah.
so I just wanted to.
We changed it. We confirmed that yesterday, right? What's that?
What was the last one?
So I got
OSS at 1 on that day also?
Yeah. What's
What
the
time's the?
regular board meeting? 10. So on the,
Thank you, Thomas.
thank you. Thank you.
It's the third,
That
Tuesday the
Tuesday.
third, right?
So the 20th at 8:30, the 21st at 10, the 26th at 9, and the 3rd at 10. And then I think we hit our regular schedule again for the 12th, the 19th, and then we start getting to the Christmas schedule.
Yeah, so. 26th of December is the regular scheduled meeting, so when we get Kirsch back here in the saddle, let's talk about that.
Should we ask Fred?
He just cancels Christmas, that's all Fred ever did, he just canceled Christmas.
All right, what else do you have?
A
for us?
couple things, that we have some contracts that are coming up at the end of the year. One is the lease with the health district, which got kind of set to the back burner on my stack, and just got back to it. The health district, we started in 2013 implementing a lease with them. The health department doesn't pay cost allocation because of their levies, but the prosecutor had said that we can charge a lease. We used our cost allocation plan to determine the set rate for that at that time. Cost allocation for that entity was about $112,000 a year. I think it was Jeff Wagner said, you know, we don't want to hit them with this all at once, so let's do a tiered in system or planning. So the first year we did 20% of that. So first year they paid a little under $23,000. Then it went to 25%, 30%, 35%, and which was going to max out at 50%. So we weren't going to get up to 100. We just said we would get up to 50%. In 2016, I think the health department started going through some of their reaccreditation and just some funding issues. They had asked the commissioners at that time to freeze the lease payments, which, so for 2016, we froze at the $39,287.50. So for 17, 18, and 19, they've stayed at that amount. So we're up for 2020 to discuss a new lease payment. I've got the Maximus report pulled, so I want to go over them to figure out what that new number would be. It's probably going to be around the same amount, but it looked a little different, so I got to check with Maximus to make sure. But we did talk to Beth a couple months ago, and she's concerned, and she would like to stay at least the same she's paying or less, obviously. But so I wanted to get that in front of you to think about it. I'll have some better numbers.
We have to do this by the end of the year?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah.
So where I'm at on that is, I'm okay with keeping them in the same range. It is a joint health district, it is taxpayer supported, and so, I don't mind being a participant in that. They have some unused space that I would like, they continue to use if we don't have a need for it, but I don't want to carve that out and call that out if we have a need for it. I'd like to have it back.
Okay.
Dental clinic and some space in the basement. I just want to make sure that we have some flexibility over there because we have storage needs and other needs that we need to address, and so I don't want them to hold on to space that
They don't need, yeah.
they don't need anymore.
Yeah.
That's one way to reduce
Is
it.
the
I didn't think
dental-
they had a lot of space, but they
There's some.
some storage.
Is the dental separate?
It's off the back of their shot clinic.
So it's back into the right, so it could be its own
It could
access without having.
could be
Trying to
access through
remember that.
regional planning. It could be so.
Oh, I
there's a
see
couple-
what you're saying.
There's a couple different, just to
Okay.
call it out, I don't have any plans for it, but just
Okay,
identify those spaces that won't be covered in the lease.
okay,
It's kind of like what we do at the ag building where if we're not using the space, yeah, go ahead and put your stuff there, but if you're not leasing the space, so.
Just for 3 years, is that what you said?
we
Years?
did, started in 13, ended in 19, so.
6
We did a
years.
6 years, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll put some numbers together, talk to Beth, and
Okay.
hopefully next week or the week after have some sort of an idea for you. The other thing I wanted to bring up, which I think we've slowly talked about over the year, is the Lgf formula. Back in the early 2000s, the state used to give us, well, you know, the local government funding money. Back in the day, they would give us local government revenue assistance funding that was specifically for public safety. So we've always had a 3-year contract to distribute those specific funds. They got away with the local government revenue assistance fund, they did away with that. Obviously, we know local government funding's been cut, but the commissioners have always stood by the formula. We did increase it actually a few years ago to dedicate funding to EMS for the ECHO.
Yeah.
So in total, we're at about 400,000 that we dedicate for 3 years in the LGF. There's, and I'll just go through a couple of them. We dedicate, 60 for emergency management. We give money for the joint ambulance districts, 2,000 a year for the housing. We pay $2,500 each district to help workers' comp. We dedicate $65,000 a year for the ambulance response vehicle and equipment replacement. $10,000 a year goes to soil and water for floodplain management. We dedicate $10,000 towards EMT training, $180 for the EMS, $1,000 goes to the admin fees for each district.
What was that last number?
$1,000 to each district. Each district. $700 goes to each district for coordinators. And then at the end of the year, we do $30,000 that we split out per run. So Ken goes through the however many runs, splits up the money, so we have it's about $30 a run that we give back to each district.
He does that annually?
Yes, $30,000 we set aside annually. So the last one we did was for 17, 18, and 19. It's coming up. And I think we've talked about it throughout the year, trying to keep it the same. But, so I'm gonna work on getting a draft, but I did wanna at least bring up that conversation if, any anticipated changes. There is a couple reductions just because we do have joint ambulance districts now instead of having the different squads.
Yeah.
So some of them have, instead of having 7, 8 squads, we're paying $2,500 for workers' comp for, it's only 5 districts, so.
Is any of that expenditure required by statute?
Not anymore, not since the local government revenue assistance fund went away. So it's just what that we've dedicated to, so. And didn't know if there was any other questions or comments on the budget since I gave you last week. I was looking through some of it, trying to come up with some other ideas since we're a little low on our revenue. I know we're meeting with the sheriff and judges next week to hopefully come up with some ideas. But we do have that, and these are just ideas, the Medicaid money. We have some expenses that we've had to have as reoccurring, but we'll be dropping off. The no payment for the Justice Center that we give to NCOESC. Our regular bond payment is, this year it'll be about $84,000. That falls off in 2023. So some of those we could actually pull out of our reoccurring and use Medicaid money for that. It's not gonna save us a lot on our budget, but they were always dedicated expenses because we had to pay them, knowing they're gonna be dropping off 3 years, that we
The
could.
interest-free loan's 10, right? Was it 50 for 10?
50, oh yeah, it was 50 for 10.
Yeah.
I was thinking 5, but you're right, 50 for 10.
Yeah.
So, just some ideas I was trying to come up with
Sure.
to
We still have a
use.
$400,000 cap we're trying to whittle on,
Yeah,
based on what the auditor gave us?
yeah, they haven't certified it, they're gonna meet again in December, but the number they gave us was about 16.8. I gave you what everybody requested, I could go through them and, pull out some of the, wish lists that departments had asked for, so I'm down to about 17.3, 17.2.
Okay.
So, and that's with potentially pulling out that 50,000 for the note payment, pulling out the bond
Sure.
payment, and using the Medicaid money for those, but
Sure.
those are just some ideas, so.
Yeah,
We're getting a little bit closer.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm gonna reserve judgment till we talk to the sheriff about
Sure.
what revenue's going to be.
That's huge.
So, that's the delta at this point, so.
And I
we have
did
some-
invite, Budget Commission to the meeting on was it the 26th? You guys asked me to. Derek said he would be available. I know Julie and, is checking her schedule, just with, this time is conference time of year, so
Yeah.
she was gonna get back to me on that, and Paul
Okay.
was gonna get back to me, so. I think that's all I had.
Good,
Yeah, no, that's
good stuff. All right,
good stuff.
commissioners report. Tony?
Went to Attica last night. Stacy was there, Ken, but we were invited into the AVR Bloom Scipio Republic ambulance meeting. I thought that meeting was very productive. The two groups are talking. They're working back and forth to, I'm just gonna make a broad statement, to improve service with the resources they have out there. And I was, just want to, hats off to the way the meeting went and how everybody seemed to cooperate. I thought it was good. About a month ago, we went over to Hopewell Loudon, and they had JBL there, Jackson Liberty Bettsville, and they're also talking on that side of the county, their ambulance districts, to see what they can do to improve service. So I just want to acknowledge that, and I know the prosecutor's working with them, and they're talking, and I think we all feel it's more of a short-term solution to a long-term issue with EMS in the county, but I'm pleased to see that that's going on right now. So that's all I have.
Good. I just wanted to bring up, for those who maybe didn't catch it, that Mac, Jimmy Call, Veteran Services, was Veteran of the Year. He was a long time employee here with Veteran Services, and over 27 years he serviced a lot of veterans, and I couldn't be more pleased that he got Veteran of the Year. And he got up and gave his acceptance speech, and I just wanted to point out that he specifically called out Stacy and the staff of the commissioners as having a great working relationship with them over the years, and I just thought that was really telling. He talked about how in some counties where the commissioners and the Veteran Services don't have a great working relationship, and he said in his 27 years he never had a problem. So that's a testament to all the commissioners that came before us and our staff, and I just thought it was very humble and kind to him to call that out specifically, because it was the night about him, and he was very gracious in his acceptance. So, I mean,
Yeah, and it was held in Bettsville. He's from the Bettsville area, and you could not find a parking spot. The place was packed. The place was totally packed, and very emotional talk. He just did a great job.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people came out, a lot of veterans to give him tribute, well deserved. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's great.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I do have one other thing, but I think I'll wait till Nate gets back in here, because I did some research on some stuff, and I'm sure he'll want to hear it. So I'll just go ahead and move on with the agenda. Old business, we have the AEZ resolution, and just to bring this full circle, we sunset the AEZ effective June 30th, and we're looking for some clarification because it's our commonly held view that the AEZ is sunset. Seneca Wind has withdrawn, refiled. That's a new application, and it's not subject to the AEZ. So that's our legal position, and we're trying to clarify that. We have a resolution that I would prefer to not act on today because we have it with the prosecutor for review. You know, the intent is there. I'm not sure that there's any time sensitivity to today, but Derek has he's been busy in Columbus, and so he hasn't had the bandwidth to respond to us on it. Josh had it, and I had a conversation with him yesterday, and he wanted to run it by Derek, so we have some time. But unless you do
No,
some
I
time
think that's good. I mean, the first resolution was March of 19, and then we sent our letter, I see Jim back there, on October 10th. The commissioner sent a letter to the Ohio Development Services Agency, and this will be a third correspondence, a formal resolution, kind of just wrapping around our intentions, and I agree. I mean, I think we need the prosecutors sign off on this before we can act, but we will get it, and hopefully we can act next.
I wouldn't see any reason
I
why
don't see any
we
reason we
wouldn't.
can't
I
get
know
it down
he's,
there. But that's our position, is that
Are you talking about both resolutions in your comments?
I'm just talking about the AEZ resolution.
yes, the AZ.
So then the other resolution that we do have is House Bill 401, and we've sent a letter in support of that. The bill has been numbered now and has been referred to committee. So I know just more of a formal action to take to support that activity. So Tony, do you want to make a motion that we support this resolution?
Yes, that we make a motion that the commissioners support House Bill 401.
Okay, second. So just in the discussion, what I would say is that this is a legislative process, so we don't know what the end result of this is going to be. I think there'll probably be a lot of folks weighing in on this particular legislation, so he's kind of in defense of Representative Reineke. He's got the conversation starter, but there's going to be a lot of conversation around it. So it's a little dangerous when we support a resolution or legislation like this before it's in final vote form, because we don't know what it might look like at the end of the day. So, as we witnessed with House Bill 6, it went through a number of transformations. And so, we certainly support the start of the conversation, but I'm sure, Township Trustee Association is probably going to want to weigh in on it, Chamber of Commerce, County Commissioners Association, power companies on both sides, so we don't know what the final product's going to look like, but we certainly support the conversation. So, anything you want to add to that?
That's good.
Roll call?
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner? Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. All right. Before we go into new business, I just want to talk a little bit about the research I did as it relates to the Solid Waste District and the Policy Board. We have, so the path to placing a concerned citizen on the policy board is the 4 existing statutory members have to request appointment. We are one of those. So, the mayor's one, township trustee, health department. So what I would like to do today is, if Mr. Heiser is willing, that we would pass a resolution supporting the appointment of Nate to the policy board, and then we would pass that along to our friends at the health department and our friends at the city office and township, and hopefully they would accept that. So if you'd be willing to serve, and you would be willing to support me on that motion,
I think it's a great idea.
Happily.
and then we have a seat at the table, and so that's the research I did on that. I think, okay, point. So, can we just have a roll call on, my motion is to appoint Nate Heiser, to support this appointment of Nate Heiser to the Solid Waste District Board, and that's our recommendation to the policy board. So that's my motion. We second that, Tony?
Second that.
And a roll call.
Commissioner Pardison?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner? Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So that's that. The other question that we had was about if last meeting was noticed, and I checked on that, and it was, is what I.
Was what?
Noticed. It was properly noticed. We
To
checked
who?
with- To the media, to whatever their media sources are. That's the information I got back. So I did follow up on that.
Who was that from?
They talked to, I talked to the chairperson, and she talked to Tim, K-Writer at Sandusky County. So, the other thing that I checked on was on this, who has the statutory authority to modify the host agreement, and the statutory authority lies with the board. So, it doesn't lie with the policy committee. So that's just a clarification on who has legal authority to modify the host agreement. And, you know, the determination was made that a changing in the funding was a material change to the policy of reduction of solid waste. So those were the clarifications that I got.
Who clarified that?
Alvin.
Alvin?
Yeah. So, I think those were my clarifications, those were that was my homework from last week. So, but I wanted to wait until you got back in here.
Thank you.
New business.
New business.
Good job, by the way.
Okay, I have a request from, let's see, Common Pleas 1. They need a supplemental appropriation to put in place for their pre-sentencing investigation into their contract service line for $38,822.04. We also have a supplemental appropriation in for the general fund into our transfers out. This is, we had used the transfers out money to, for the Justice Center, and we knew we were gonna have to replace it. This is the lease money that we get back in from, we have soil and water left, we have one of our farm leases in, and, what was the other one? FSA for the remainder of the year. And what the attorneys told us, we dedicate the money for the leases out to the farm, actually all of our leases, to our capital improvement fund. But because there's a Ohio Revised Code that says if the land has anything to do with a county farm where the county home was, it has to go to the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do, we put it into the general fund and then we have to transfer it out. So we'd use the money we put in place for that. So this revenue is still coming in. So that's what the $60,000 was for, into our transfers outline.
This is why we run things by the prosecutor. A little thing like that, right?
Yeah, because our other leases that aren't involved, we just deposit directly into the, that was a way that the commissioners back a while ago. We didn't have any direct revenue into our capital improvement line. It wasn't much, but they did decide to dedicate at least our rental and leases amount to put directly into our capital improvement fund, so.
Yep, and we haven't changed that. Yes.
Okay.
So a little bit of juice in there to
to
fix
help.
what ails us.
Yep. I have a resolution authorizing, the access visitation grant, for fiscal year 2020 with Patchworks House on behalf of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services. I have a resolution authorizing the fiber repayment schedule on behalf of Seneca County EMA and Seneca County Commissioners. This was the fiber project that the general fund invested into the 911, because the 911 fund didn't have the resources or the build-up to cover the full cost of this. So they are setting the schedule to repay the general fund back for that project.
Yeah. How many years is that about?
5?
So 5 years?
Yep, 5 years.
Tell John Spar we want little checks every time he comes in and repays it.
Little checks or big checks?
Yeah. We got it.
I have a resolution we're amending the resolution certifying unpaid assessments to the county auditor for collection, that we approved in September 5th, 2019. I think there was just some, just typing errors. Do you want to explain that at all? Those were,
The total number was wrong.
it was just, okay, so it just needed.
was typed in wrong.
Okay. Then I have a resolution authorizing the split usage of funding for the Seneca County Museum and the American Civil War Museum for the state capital budget funding application. And Charlene is here that could explain that too.
Just cleaning up that capital grant yet.
Yeah, so the county was awarded 50,000. OFCC said it had to be, they need a resolution showing it being split because the Seneca County Museum is owned by the county. The American Civil War Museum is its own entity. So technically, they can't award all of that to us because one's one entity, one's another. So we had to do a formal resolution to split the funds, 25,000 and 25,000. So we're doing that so we can get everything approved and start getting those projects done.
Any questions? Okay.
No.
Motion to approve new business?
Second. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes?
Commissioner Kirschner, Commissioner Thomas.
Yes. All right, any other business?
No.
Public comments?
Public.
Logan Wolf, state your name, try and keep it to 3 minutes if you can.
Hey, Logan Wolf, Fostoria. I have just a couple of comments regarding Sunny Farms Landfill. There were some things that were brought up at yesterday's Loudoun Township trustees meeting. Representatives from the landfill were saying that they are getting a permit for PSD permit, but they're continuing to say that they're not going to check the box saying that it is a PSD permit. And in the past, they were saying that they're planning on getting that permit in the future, but yesterday they were saying that they're not checking the box because that would be an admission of guilt for the Clean Air Act violation that they were issued for not having the permit. And they also mentioned that there's a rigorous review process to ensure that they would adhere to all those requirements and standards. And by not checking the box, it's going to be a shorter process. So in my view, I don't see how they're able to do that and not continue to be in violation. And my other comment is regards to sulfur dioxide and ambient air. They're saying that that's all fine still, but they only have one stationary meter and it's not taking continuous data. And whatever data that is collected is not being made public to my knowledge. So any comments they have regarding that, it doesn't seem to be based on any data that they've presented. So those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Other public comments?
Yep, boss.
Go ahead, Nate, if you wanna.
Yeah.
Sorry, he got you by,
It's okay.
you got the bid by just
I
a
showed up
second.
late anyhow.
Yeah, state your name, if you keep it to 3 minutes, I
Nate
appreciate it.
Heiser.
Yeah.
I just had a couple comments on kind of what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. Did Alvin say anything about House Bill 592? Did anybody say anything about House Bill 592?
Well, it's Ohio code now, yeah, so I had him pull the code and send it to me.
What did he say in regards to the policy committee and the hearings and public comment for changing?
Right, material
The
change
rules.
was the word he used for me.
Because I'm not so sure that that's accurate. I know Alvin, he represents the solid waste district in their best interest, and I guess you ask 3 lawyers the same question, you're going to get answers, 3 different answers.
Yeah, the Ohio revised code on that is 373454.
What was that?
373454.54. That's the governing, the when it became law, it gets codified into the Ohio revised code, and that's where.
Okay, very good. So that's my concern of asking him, because he essentially represents them. I don't know if there's anybody else that you may have access to that would know a little bit about this stuff that's not, have a conflict there. Because if there was something done wrong, he may be liable there, and so he's going to protect his interests for sure. Second, what constitutes as public notice? What does Tim say public notice is, or what did they do for public notice? Because I looked in all the papers. I went to the library and looked at a month's worth of papers, and I didn't see it in any of them. It wasn't on their calendar online. It was a special meeting that I didn't see advertised anywhere. Are we just taking their word that it was public, or did he say how he made it public?
The standard protocol, the same administrative process they followed before is what we were told.
So, if it wasn't thinking about it, the landfill sits in a Fostoria address. So if they're putting out public notices, that should be the very first place that should get it, I would think. But it wasn't in the paper. I looked front and back through the papers for a month, and I didn't see anything. It wasn't in the advertiser. So,
I might be able to answer that.
yeah.
When I send out my agendas, I have to send it to the newspaper, but they don't always it's up to them whether they put it in there or not. So, Tim maybe did send it and the newspaper decided not to put it in there, is the only thing I can think of for that. Because there's been times I sent my agendas out and the paper hasn't put it in to be advertised out.
Yeah, I asked the question, so.
I'm not sure if that's what happened, but.
And you never know, I guess. Maybe I'll ask the paper if they even got it. Lastly, I guess on that same note, I've been talking about the host agreement for a long time and having input and the changes. It's very unfortunate that our group that's been so involved with this thing and has been advocating for that host agreement and change on there to benefit the residents that live nearby. I figured maybe somebody would say, hey, are you gonna go to this meeting maybe? You've been talking about it for a year. I know that's not, you don't have to do that, but I guess that's a little disappointing, I guess, because nobody knew about the meeting, and I don't know what they constitute as public notice, but it definitely wasn't over here where people would notice and
Yeah.
see the public input. If maybe next time you go to the policy committee, whoever's on that, maybe that policy should be changed or mandated so it automatically, even if they have to pay for it, You know, I mean, I'm sure the paper would put it in there if you paid for it, probably, wouldn't they? I would imagine. Maybe that should be something that needs to happen from here on
I'll
out.
bring up, at our next board meeting, I'll bring up I'll raise the question and create the discussion on how notices go out and report back to you.
Yeah, that'd be good. I went to the
Okay.
commissioners meeting the other day at Ottawa,
Okay.
and it's crazy because there's all kinds of people here. Not one. Not one.
Like, what do you want?
There wasn't one person there. I was the only one there, and I could not believe it. And
We like to think it's because we're popular.
in what way? Popular in what way? I said the same thing to them. You know, talked about the House bill, and I don't want to go to, you know, all those different other commissioners meetings. I just want to go to the solid waste district board meeting when I can talk to all 9 commissioners at once.
Yeah.
And I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm still getting refused to talk at their, you know, more than 3 minutes, which every other place I've ever been to never really cared, as long as you're being, you know, cordial and stuff. And I can't get, you know, everything that I need to say in 3 minutes, especially to all 9 commissioners. And I don't know if there's any way that
I would suggest
be
you
on
reach out to Kay Ryder, who's the chair of solid waste. I've talked to her at length. You know, I was on the phone with her for an hour last night, and about this topic. You know, everything we've talked about, relating to her, what you've said here. So I would ask her, and I mean, the same thing applies in our meeting. You know, if it's something that you can keep to 3 minutes, you know, we welcome that at every meeting. If it's something that you need 10 minutes or 15 minutes to talk about, I mean, last week we took 20.
Yeah.
We prefer to put those on the agenda. You know,
Yeah.
things come up, not a problem. We're happy to accommodate. We have questions for you, you have questions, you know.
I
But
appreciate the dialogue.
if you want more than 3 minutes at solid waste, call and ask Kay and say, you know, I mean, I would support you going on the agenda at solid waste district. No question about it.
It's so easy to be on the agenda, everything except solid waste district.
I would ask the question, you know, we govern that, so I would support it.
Yeah.
You know,
She's the chair, you have to go to her.
But you'd have,
So Kathleen, no go? Don't ask her?
I wouldn't ask her.
Oh, yeah, ask the
She's,
chair.
you know, she's
She's a director.
the
but
director, I mean, she might,
Kay chairs the meeting.
you know, I mean, she would certainly, if she asked us to put you on the agenda, I would certainly not object to that. But if she's saying no, or if you don't get the right vibe, please talk to Kay.
I will do that.
And Kay's very responsive.
Maybe I'll ask her about the public notice and stuff too.
That would be
I mean,
great.
Maybe she would, she'd probably know a lot more than Kathleen would anyhow. I just always dealt with the director.
Yeah, I think Kay actually spoke directly to Tim about it, so.
Is he done with his separation agreement? Are we allowed to talk to him now?
I don't know. You know,
We have a meeting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a few questions at that meeting, so.
yeah, I don't know that, I just don't
I don't
know that answer. I mean,
That meeting was the 3rd at 1 o'clock, is that what you said?
It sounds right.
December 3rd
Board
at 1
meeting.
o'clock?
Yeah.
Yes.
The 3rd, 1 o'clock at the office, at the OSS office.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you. If there's anybody that you could talk to, maybe other than Alvin, about that revised code, I would be interested to see what somebody that doesn't have a direct relationship with OSS and that whole amended agreement, that would be, that'd be helpful to hear another side
Yeah,
of it.
I got it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, sir, you were on deck.
Oh, I was late here. I know you guys are supposed to discuss whether on these wind turbines, whether the townships could vote on this thing or something.
Yeah,
What was the outcome of that?
we're supporting the conversation as to modifying the law, so there's some local control or some local input.
So the townships can vote on whether they want them in their townships or whatever?
It's not as clear as that, but that there would be
But
some
the
kind
general
of local.
public would have a lot of input.
Yeah.
I attended the meeting in Newryville. Wish I'd attended some earlier, but we was busy. And one gentleman sort of stood up and I think he made the comment there's gonna be 13 wind turbines that I'll be able to see in a 2.5 mile radius of my home. He didn't like it. Yeah. Do the math. 5 times 5, 25 square miles. 0.7854's area in a circle comes out just a little over 20 square miles. 640 acres in a square mile. This homeowner, maybe a $200,000 or $300,000 home, he wants to have a voice in what happens. 12,500 acres of land, valued at $7,500 an acre, minus any buildings or home he has on it. That's a big voice. Now, what do farmers really harvest? Nobody, no, historically, nobody complained about windmills and wind turbines, this kind, back when they needed them to pump water before you had electric. Now, all I hear is flicker, flicker. Not a flicker can be engineered in this. We're in the northern hemisphere. Which way does our sun come from? The south. You could put a wind turbine a mile south of a house and you're gonna get some flicker. You could put it 500 feet behind his house and he can't get flicker because there's no shallow. A lot of that flicker can be engineered out. And other problems being a lot of stories. But stop and think, 12,500 acres of farmland minus buildings, you're talking $100 million worth of land. And I wouldn't object because I might get flicker. I don't want to see the scenic view. Where in their deed does it say that the rural landscape ain't gonna change? Hog farm. There's a case here in Ohio where some farmer wanted to build a hog farm and got around. And some very affluent people objected to it, so they filed a lawsuit against him to stop him. Courts ruled. You can't claim he's gonna pollute the environment or anything. They lost. He countersued him and won he got enough money to cover his legal fees, which was in excess of $150,000. They appealed it. The complainants did. Overturned it, says, no, you can't collect that. You can collect only the bond that they put up to sue you with. You get $5,000. Well, they stopped the hog farm. And they put him out of business. He's broke. That's here in the state of Ohio. There's certain chemicals we can use in a farm, and it's the dicamba-beans. We gotta keep 110 foot between sensitive plants and stuff. You know what's funny about it? Dicamba, it's Banville. Now they're coming out with 2,4-D beans, which they claim the Banville when they come out with it. I don't like that product, I know it. The problem with that product, if you're spraying it's windy, you can drift. When you drift it, Banville can lay in that field for 3 or 4 days. And when a temperature inversion starts, that Banville will pick up and move 3 or 4 days later. And a temperature inversion, when you got like a burn barrel, and you light it at night and the smoke will come out of the barrel, and when it gets out, the barrel goes down, that's a temperature inversion. That's what happens at Banville. They claim 2,4-D beans are 5 or 6 times. You won't get the temperature. It won't pick up and move. Banville will. But 2,4-D, we got to stay back 110 feet from basic homes and sensitive plants. What's really funny about it? People go to a hardware store and buy their weed killer for their lawns. The 2 biggest chemicals they use on lawns to kill dandelions and clover are 2,4-D and Banville. Read the labels. Years ago, there was another chemical company come out. They put the 3rd one in, which I mix it myself. I use.
Yeah.
It's funny. We can't go in 150 feet, but you can spray it on your lawn by your flowers. How many regulations can put in it? Farmers had a tough time in this area of windmills. That ain't the highest productive land. How many young guys, son, you can't afford $7,000, $8,000, or $7,000 or $8,000 acre. 5% interest, you can't make enough to pay the interest more than the principal. So that's why some farmers build livestock operations, they keep their son on the farm.
Yeah.
I'm not for it, I'm not against it, there's a problem with wind turbines. But I'll show my hand. We've been approached for another renewable energy farm in this county. These people, we got a letter out of South Carolina. I threw it in the waste paper basket, picked it up later at night, looked and read it a little bit. It didn't know what to say. Talked to him yesterday. Says, we want to get going on this thing. They want to give us an option on 124 acres. Now, if you let these people vote in these wind farms, and I said, boy, he says, wind farms, this kind of, they're talking about, says, if they put it to public vote, it'll go down. So you said, you're gonna find some opposition to these solar farms.
Yeah, I appreciate your comments.
Yeah, but it says, you're finding some opposition, a lot of it is, they're jealous. They don't want you farmers making it on your own. He said, you have opposition. Talked to him yesterday and says, we've submitted this, well, I'll tell you who it is, if you watch the news, BP, British Petroleum, has wind farms. They're in this county right now, they want an easement on 124 acres to build a solar farm in this county. They wanna talk to us as soon as possible. They wanna apply, they wanna submit an application that take 2 or 3 years, but they need an option. I said, whether we'll buy it, this is, we won't sell it. Says, we'll rent it. The cash rent they offers per acre, you wouldn't believe. I says, we still like the farm, it ain't about the money.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your comments. I didn't
But
catch your name for the record.
Steve Smith. I'd rather name anonymous, but some people really know, maybe know me, but.
No, that's fine. We
I'm
just try to
take
keep
rep
comments
landowner.
and keep everybody. Thank you. Yeah. I was pointing to you, Jim, but he's been.
Oh,
That's
I
all right.
apologize, Jim. I didn't continue on this same topic real shortly, if I could.
Yeah.
Please. Jim Feasel, Eaton Township. I think Steve over here makes the perfect case why everybody in this county and everybody in the state should support HB 401. Because there is massive opposition to wind turbines, and this deals only with wind turbines in this bill. Purposely, everything else is kept out of it. But there's massive resistance to them all over the state. And there's people from Seneca County right tomorrow and yesterday in Columbus fighting as hard as they can, spending a lot of their own money to do it. And if people who are for wind projects want to retain their voice, they need this referendum to do that. This is for both sides. It guarantees a voice for both sides. It's not necessarily an anti-wind bill. It guarantees a voice for both sides. So I just wanted to point that out.
Good afternoon,
Name?
or I guess morning. Ben Nutter, Sunny Farms Landfill, Director of Community Relations. Just wanted to relate to the board quickly. There was a Loudoun Township trustee meeting last night, and we had some representatives there, and the Seneca County General Health District was there, and I think this is of interest to the commissioners that the commissioner herself, Beth, and Hunter Blessing, who is the sanitarian that oversees Sunny Farms Landfill, was there. And while the trustees asked him, basically, what have you observed? And he specifically told them that Sunny Farms Landfill is in compliance. He does Jerome meter readings, and he observes our rail unloading building 3 or 4 times a week. There's been significant discussion about the prevention of significant deterioration permit, which is a PSE permit. So on that vein, we are in a consent agreement with the Ohio EPA to get in compliance with those national ambient air quality standards, okay? And that gives us specific steps and timelines to do that. And what will happen is we'll have the final collection system, gas collection system that I've talked to you about before, where we'll collect all of that and we won't be flaring anything off at all. But in between now and then, we operate under the consent order, okay? But it's important to note that SO2 emissions are in compliance with the National Ambient Air Quality standard at all resident receptors, okay? The Ohio EPA specifically reached out to very vocal opposition of the landfill and asked them if they would like a SO2 monitor there. If they want one, they can have one through the fees that we pay. It's paid for, you know, really indirectly by Sunny Farms or even directly. So those are being monitored by the Ohio EPA. We remain, and always have been, as it relates to sulfur dioxide, 2 to 3 times under the very strict health standards. We've not negatively impacted anyone's health. Sunny Farms Landfill is committed to environmental health and safety and operational excellence. We have been from the beginning. We've taken this facility and put in many, many safeguards and precautions to make sure that we're operating as one of the best in the country. And we'll continue to do that. It's continuous improvement. If you have any questions for me, or all of the monitored readings that we have are a matter of public record with the Ohio EPA. We report them continuously. So just want to make sure you were aware of that. All right.
So again, say that to me again. The EPA made an offer to put in.
At some very close residents, they offered to put in an SO2 meter.
And those are continuous meters, or are they?
I'm not exactly sure the operation, but they take readings periodically or at some interval throughout the day. Correct.
That offers from the EPA. So if somebody wants that, how do they access that? They call the EPA?
Yeah, they could call the Northwest District Office of the EPA. They're probably going to want to be within a certain.
Sure.
You know, like if you're not going to get one at your house, but
yeah, got it. Okay,
so.
I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yep.
Charlene.
Charlene Watkins, Regional Planning. Just want to give you a little teaser. We have a press release coming out. Seneca County was awarded their 2019 CDBG allocation, a total of $158,000. So just wanted to let everybody know that. That's good stuff. And we have 5 projects, 2 of them in smaller areas that will be coming out in a press release very soon. So just a little teaser to let everybody know to watch the paper and know we got some money coming into the county. Happy stuff.
Leonard, is that announced yet?
Conditional, we can't talk about that yet.
I guess it's an elf now.
Any report from the city?
Yes. Can't tell right now with all the snow and ice on the ground, but the city did start paving the streets here in the last few weeks, and we kind of do that by purpose or by design. A lot of these paving companies, they'll have their bigger jobs in the summer, so usually we get a better deal or bid if we wait towards the end of summer, beginning of fall. So we've been working on street paving as well as doing some bridge replacement here. We'll be doing the Ella Street Bridge coming up. We did get a $2 million grant for that to cover that, so that covers close to half the cost of the bridge, which was huge for us, so we can stretch our city budget further. Right now we're currently in budget season. We're meeting with our different department heads. We're also in union negotiations, so it can be challenging times, but we'll make sure everybody's treated fairly, and we're going through that right now. And the budgets, I enjoy the process because we'll meet with the different department heads and we'll go through line item, and we get to see where literally every dollar goes, so we watch that with a very close eye. Not sure if you guys seen this press release from a few weeks ago or not, but Tiffin was just ranked as the 16th safest city in the state of Ohio, which I think is a testament to our police force, our police chief. If you look at the statistics, I mean, things are going down as far as theft, burglary, that sort of thing, so I credit that to our police department. The creation of the Block Watch, the Citizens Academy, I think all those things have really helped with seeing the lower crime rates and all that stuff going down as well. Wanted to thank the county and what you guys have done in the city as far as the memorial for Jim Roberts. I apologize I wasn't able to be here. My grandfather passed last week, but I thought that was very nice what you guys did and very well deserved. Later today at 11:30, or here in about another 15 minutes, we have a dedication at Riverside Park. We got a $120,000 grant to redo that park, and it's back there by Gary Lane and Longfellow. Truly is a neighborhood park. It's kind of tucked away. You don't really see it from the street, but it's surrounded by houses, and it's a neat little spot. My great grandma, she lived in that neighborhood, so when we were younger, we used to go over and play at that park, and got some good memories there. But I remember, I probably shouldn't tell this, but we used to take the basketball court, and we would take some boards and some blocks and bricks, and we'd ramp our bikes off it. At a young age, I learned the importance of good engineering, so you guys are lucky to have Zimmerman. If you guys can make it out, we'd love to see you.
Cool. I know Vicky's trying to make it. Anything for Adams Township?
Yes, a couple things. Want to commend Mike Schreiner with Republic Sons of American Legion. They had a full house there Saturday night for the Salute to Veterans. Great program they put together, good band and stuff. It was a good time. Spent the last couple of days down in Columbus for the adjudicatory hearings for the Republic Wind Project. Yesterday had a number of people from Adams Township, and even Mike Kirshner submitted testimony and spoke there. So that's what we've been up to here lately. Thank you.
Kent, you got anything to say? All right. Anybody else? Anything for the good of the order? If anybody needs a raffle ticket for Leadership Seneca County, there's a competition between Audrey and so $5.
Do you want me to just say what this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know who all knows about Leadership Seneca County. Audrey and I are actually in the current class for 2019-2020 Leadership Seneca County class. It's a really awesome experience, but they do one big kind of fundraiser every year, so it's their holiday social. It is December 11th at 5:30 to 7. It's at the Renaissance if you want to check that out. There are tickets that you have to buy, so look at their Facebook. You got to RSVP. But they're doing a raffle for a Google Nest Hello doorbell and a Google Hub Chalk, so it's like a little touchpad thing, and it comes with a doorbell sensor, and it functions kind of like an Alexa or a Google Home Echo.
I have no idea what that is, but
you ask it a question and it tells you the answer.
All right. Anything else? Adjourned. Thank you.